Alrighty, welcome everyone. My guest today has spent 15 years building the kind of technology most of us use every single day without ever realizing it. If you've shopped at, say, Walmart on their website, most likely something he built was working behind the scenes. He's led engineering teams at some of the biggest names in tech, like Flipkart, Google, YouTube, at a scale that most people never even get close to. The huge hidden systems that move enormous amounts of data around the world. These days, he's the CTO of a company called Aviato, and they help some of Australia's biggest companies, names like Chemist Warehouse, Officeworks, Endeavour Group, Lendlease, the list goes on, to get results out of cloud and AI. Akhilesh, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mac, and thanks for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be on your platform.
I appreciate it. Should we get stuck in? First question?
Let's go.
Alrighty. So when I look at your resume, I see, it's incredible. What really sticks out is the 9 years at Google, this amazing career there. And you've moved into the CTO role at Aviato Consulting following that. What made you jump into that role? It's a big move.
Yes, the startups have always fascinated me. Even before Google, I was working for my own startup. Then at Google, it was about what next, right? Like you always hit a plateau with these large corporates. And it's a very common question which everybody asks. And my response always, it always felt like I'm leaving Google for going to university, like you leave your home. uh, Google is a great company. It does a lot of fascinating effort. The best part has been working with legends. I've been part of emails where Jeff Dean came in and started talking about how TensorFlow was built. Those are kind of experiences you can't get anywhere else. That's pretty much about Google. But then we realized Google is great at building products and customers love it, but probably there is a market gap where you can help customers onboard on Google. So I was leading the PSO team within Australia ANZ region, and what we realized is we can fill the gap. And Ben, my co-founder, he took the jump much earlier than me. I was always in touch with Ben. Then we said, okay, it's time, let's do it. And Aviato was born. So yeah, that's our story.
Love it. And how has it been so far?
Crazy, like we never thought it will grow so fast so soon. And over the 3 years, what Ben did is amazing. He built a company which is now 125, and it's particularly interesting for me because this is the time when people have been talking about layoffs and everybody is worried about what will happen with AI, what's the future of consulting companies, as well as Sasocalypse is a real world, right? And salute to Ben's spirit and his desire to do something different. Aviato is growing fast. We are still hiring, by the way. So if you're interested, please go to careers.aviato.consulting as well. Apply for the roles.
Fantastic. And I'm guessing you have a lot of conversations with directors, leaders of pretty reasonable sized businesses. What are those conversations like at the moment? What are the trends that you're seeing there?
I think in a way we got lucky because Aviato pivoted to AI and data consulting, but just from our background, I think it was a natural pull for us. Aviato did start as a mobile app company. We started development with those. And then we saw the pivot towards AI and data governance. I think it was very natural call because Ben used to be the infra lead while I used to manage the data infra, AI and security practices at Google for PSO team. So yeah, where it goes from there is most of our customers are actually interested in AI, and AI is the natural pull towards GCP, which if you compare AWS and Azure, which are the top two cloud providers, probably they have better enterprise story with their offerings on infrastructure side of things. But Google is definitely the front runner when it comes to anything data and managing AI at a scale. So most of our customers, they're large enterprises, which we work with, and they are trying to use our capabilities to fasten onboarding on Google Cloud, right? That involves bringing data in a secure way, governing, building VPC structures, networking, security, whatnot, before they actually start any AI workload, right? So the conversation goes from, hey, I want to build this shiny new platform. Google has launched the coolest model, or let's take an example of shopping agent. But how do you make that happen in a cloud world, which is your data is on AWS and then you want to build something on GCP? In a startup, you can simply create it from day one, right? But at an enterprise scale, you need to think about governance, security controls, networking, all the plumbing which is required, build up your data, and then you actually start thinking about AI. So conversation starts with the top AI, goes to data, goes to infra, and we build all from infrastructure to data management to making it available to the AI agents and models. That's pretty much the conversation I'm seeing repeating every day for us.
Got it. And you guys reckon GCP is the best platform for that?
Oh, 100%, like without doubt. When you are in the AI world, GCP is the only provider which is basically offering you a service all across, right from custom silicon to a model which is in the top tail. None of the larger hyperscalers have that option yet.
Mm. And with GCP, you can plug and play with any of the models, right?
Yes, they do have a offering through agent platform where you can use most of the open source tools as well. And it also integrates with Hugging Face, by the way. So you can actually leverage all the models available on Hugging Face through the agent platform as well. So yeah, that's true.
Awesome. Are you having many conversations around local models or open source models?
Oh yes, conversation quickly shifts from data sovereignty requirements to uh, pricing, right? Open source models are great. Kimi particularly, like I'm big fan of open source world. Uh, but I don't think we are ready to pay that amount of money yet to optimize and run and host and then secure and then use governance controls over an open source tool or a AI model.
Mm. So, how far away do you think we are to moving over to Kimi and DeepSeek?
I will say a factor of 10. Will the hardware prices fall by a problem by a factor of 10? Probably then they will become economical. Till then, they are very good for building POCs and quick wins. But imagine 1,000 person company trying to access Kimi for everyone and hosting, competing with Gemini offerings or any other offerings like cloud. They will quickly find out the cost actually is like by a factor of 10. Yeah.
Mm. And so, just to clarify for maybe people who aren't as technical, so that cost of Kimi, is that like hosting the model and managing the model versus just plugging straight into Google?
Yes, 100%, because all of these open weight models, they have different variations. So you can perfectly run a 20 billion model on a laptop or a MacBook, for example. But when you start really looking into the biggest and the best offerings, Kimi kind of models, they run on HBA, H200 servers and whatnot. They quickly go out of control when you start looking at the total cost of ownership. You'll have to think about your GPU, maintenance, and stuff like that. Small bounded POCs, yes, they are great. They will work. I am still skeptical about making them work for large scale organizations in a way where they would like to have a hosted service with 99.95% availability and those kind of stuff. So they all just quickly add up to the cost.
Yeah, got it. Awesome. And is there, I don't know how much you can share. You don't obviously have to share any names or any specifics, but are there any projects recently that you think have been quite brilliant, quite interesting?
A lot, like yeah, we did a project with one of the large Australian insurers who's running a healthcare program for all of Australia. They put up camps and do your blood test and stuff. So essentially, asking a question where you can say, where is the right spot in Australia to put a camp for, right? Census data is basically 4 years old, right? And then the profiles change, and census data is not basically 100% medical report. They are basically voluntary activity, right? So people can lie, people can just ignore, people can just feel lazy and not fill in some of the boxes, while their data was very unique with all this medical reports which came out. So now we had to build a model and identify like where we should place screening points so that mass population can improve their health, and it's not a trivial problem. For example, you'll have to deal with a lot of contentions. Even if you think like most of the populous city, or if most of the affluent part of cities like Ultimo, you can see there are certain cohorts like students and co-founders of startups. This could not be done by manual biased, human biased analysts. What we saw was AI being unemotional in a way. It can go and pinpoint data sets and find cohorts, which doesn't feel very natural. Like, who thought about putting a screening camp in Ultimo? That would probably come out as the most affluent part of the city, right? Yeah. So that's one of the interesting one. We can name some customers like Viva Lab. We have open partnership with them. It's a very cool startup. Please look at Viva Lab. They take your gene samples and give you holistic information about your health, right from what kind of bacteria and viruses have some footprint left in your DNAs, right? Imagine processing that for all the world corpus, and that is what Viva Lab is trying to do. We have access to over 3,000 different genomes and phenotypes, which we regularly run it through MLAI models, and then identify different segments of bacteria and macrophages and whatnot. Traditionally done, it used to cost $6,000 per run, right? Like, if you take a gene of yours and store it in a 4 GB of files, just 5 characters repeating, right? And the whole problem of that is using MLAI. It could be like, what we are seeing is the cost is coming down to $50 per run, which is phenomenally better than the previous runs, which we used to happen using traditional methods. So yeah, very exciting work with Aviatos.
Yeah, wow. That sounds amazing. It sounds like a lot more than just like infrastructure work. It sounds
Yeah, as I said earlier, like, we do start talking about the AI use cases, but then we provide our services all across. This particular partner, we have been working over 2 years. Viva Lab, they have we started with the same concept, like we did the cloud foundations. How do you run your healthcare offerings on something like Google Cloud? It's a big problem, right? You need to think about HIPAA compliance if you're going to US, all the regulations required in Australia. How do you capture consent from customers to use their data for their medical analysis and research? That's completely non-AI and ML work, right? That's the 80% of like engineering work which goes back over these foundations. Then you can build a platform where you can like deploy the genes of person and do an analysis, right?
yeah, brilliant. And when you say you mentioned those two projects, were you building custom ML models?
Both, yes, like we do heavily use Gemini as well as the backing model, but there are opportunities where you can build your own custom models and optimize, simply because of the fact that genomics is not something which comes out of box.
Got it. Fantastic. And one thing I really wanted to dig into, bit of a tangent here. You mentioned before in our small talk that you used to do like pretty big presentations in San Francisco, like thousands of people, and you just wing it. I don't know if I should have said that on air, but maybe we can cut that if it's if I shouldn't have. I'm curious though, what kind of presentations were you doing?
That's a very interesting question, because when I was at Google, we used to go to Cloud Next. And Cloud Next is a large event which happens every year. It used to happen in SFO. Now, because it has grown too big, it happens in Vegas. And we love going to Vegas only for one reason, which is Cloud Next. We were there last year, this year as well, around April, when we were uh, receiving the Best Partner Award for Aviato, right from Google team. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. What kind of presentations? Basically, it's a it's a journey. So in 2018, we started with a single thing saying, hey, how do you ingest data, right? At scale within Google Cloud products using PubSub and BigQuery, right? 2018, it was the path breaking. It was like kind of the second event just after keynote, right? Now, nobody talks about that. Like, it's become a baseline. Anybody can ingest data at a scale. When it's terabytes of data, who cares? Like, one day and you're done with that migration, right? Uh, 2022, I started seeing a definite pattern towards movement towards Kubernetes. So my talk was on the topic of building planet scale apps, and basically it covered how can you build an app with $0 running on Cloud Run and then start using GKE when you grow really big and save on money and stuff like that, right? In between you have a lot of things around where do you store data. When you're a startup you can run your own single MySQL instance, but when we are talking about planet scale apps like Spotify, Netflix, whatever, you can't live with MySQL, so you'll have to think about much more efficient system which is like a spanner or some other things. Around 2025, the key stage was all captured by AI, I believe, and there's no more infra and data talk. Like I miss those golden days when we used to talk about engineering. Now it's all about AI, AI, AI. It's part of life, circle of life. It changes. I'm happy.
Love it. When's the last time you did one of those talks?
That was in 2024 Sydney Summit. We stopped traveling to SFO for presentations, but yeah, I was still active in the community work.
Was that an engineering talk or an AI talk?
That's all engineering talk, yes.
Hmm. What kind of trends are you seeing with AI at the moment?
Yeah, if you compare from 2025 to now, like an year, it's very clear that now the talk of the town is how do you productionize a POC to a production environment in real use case, right? Like it's no more about POCs. Companies have invested last 1 or 2 years, right, into AI, and now we are looking for results and faster outcomes and improving revenue. Those hardcore business matrices, that's clearly visible to me. Yes.
Mm. And what are the businesses who are being most successful in that space at getting that ROI? What do you think they are doing?
Yes, being open-minded and identifying the boundaries of AI. AI is great when we know what we are actually expecting it from, right? Some of the failures which I have seen is setting unrealistic targets where you believe bring in AI and it will solve everything for you. I can take an example where if we have to take an AI agent and feed in a dummy data, which is like very well curated, right? It's dummy and synthesized in the lab. You actually will get very good results. But moment you bring it to the production, everything falls through. Your all metrics from ML side will decrease. Customers will be unhappy and stuff, right? The successful ones have realized this problem early on, and they are already thinking about how do I secure and govern the model on one side so that the adoption becomes easy. Security doesn't come in at the last moment and say, nope, I cannot give AI this access, right? Think from day one, like because this, if you're an enterprise and if you're adopting an AI model, it's a question of trust and it's the question of responsible AI and it's question of principles. Can AI take decision for approving or declining a loan, for example? Probably no, right? So those are the clear boundaries which you should set and set your expectations correct. uh, then it becomes easy technical problem to solve, which is which model is best, how do you train them, how do you give right prompts, how do you write safety guardrails and stuff like those, right? I believe technical problems are far easier to solve than the corporate enterprise regulations. uh, that is not going to change anytime soon, whether it's AI or not AI, as long as you can make sure that the teams understand their boundaries and play with the safety guardrails from day one. I think AI can succeed, and that is what we are seeing the success with. What we are seeing is people who are delaying those governance aspects to later fail to make it production grade in future.
Mm. So just to make sure I understand that properly, they're planning very carefully all aspects of how they're going to put this into production before they go and start building instead of just building a POC and hoping later that it's going to be fine.
Exactly, because it's a question of trust. Like, let's say we are building a model which can do a research on you, for example, right? And yes, I can build a POC which will do that research and give me a report. But if I'm a bank and if I'm relying on that report to give you a loan or not, the whole dynamics changes. Now I need that report to be 100% accurate and compliant and legally approved rather than just a report on you. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So you have to actually think about all these aspects upfront and then come back to the drawing board, thinking about the deterministic and non-deterministic and probabilistic part of the models and what is your business flow looking like. Where do you bring in AI? That will solve a lot of heartaches and pain at the end of the project. It's a common fact, like, right? All universities have published papers saying 80% or 90%, whatever that percent is. It's a massive amount of percent where they claim the AI projects actually fail, right? Right. And it's simply because the fact that we treat AI as something which is a silver bullet, you take it, run it, and it works. Nope, it doesn't do that in real world.
Yeah. Hmm. Where is there a case study that you've seen, say in the last 6-12 months, where a company's implemented AI and it's delivered like incredible value? You can't debate the value that this thing has added.
Look, there is certainly a hype around all this text, but what we are forgetting in this whole narrative is that there are AI companies which have been running since 2015 timeframe. Look at Netflix, look at Uber, look at Google. Like, what have they done? They grew so fast just because they used ML AI models right from day one. Their whole product, Google's recommendation and YouTube's recommendation is so good because they use ML and AI behind the scenes, right? You can debate those were traditional ML early on, but I see them as like a part of a larger family. Whether it's ML or AI or you use Gen AI, you are actually doing something which is different from traditionally hard coding the rules, right? From that perspective, uh, I have surrendered to the fact that my world is controlled by AI. The product which I buy on Amazon is not me buying. It's like Amazon gives me those recommendations through an AI model. The movies which I watch on Netflix is not me. There are millions of movies. I could have selected anyone, but I only pick from those 10 which is shown on the homepage of Netflix. Right? And similarly on YouTube or all these big giant companies, like songs which you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify, they're not you. That's an AI which is actually pushing those data. So we have to understand from larger context that yes, ML AI, if done correctly and done at a scale, can uplift your business models. Yeah. What I failed to see as of today is the legacy banks, for example, or legacy applications, e-commerce websites, or any other stores or the grocery ones, right? Who have implemented AI and claim that their revenue tripled. That's enterprises side of the story, right? Because everybody is in the same boat. We are all trying to learn and improve and build models, invest in models. Probably the outcome will come in next 2-3 years at a company level, right? I'm not talking about team level because you will definitely see a production uplift when you give cloud to your developers, right? But is that the metric we are trying to chase, or there is a larger objective around improving the health of the business, right? On the flip side, there are like really cutting edge AI stories where two people companies have become $1.6 billion company. There is one of the ones favorite, I'm forgetting the name, Medvi or something. Uh, they started as insulin seller and then become famous because they built a $500 million company in revenues, right? Just a single person using AI, right? That's ultra like futuristic, where we will start seeing this whole idea of one or two people company building $100 million companies because they are using the AI correctly. That's happening as of today, and I'm betting on it that it will become more frequent going forward.
Mm, yeah. Great answer.
I hope it didn't confuse you because I do see the spectrum of AI adoption all across. Uh, Just to summarize, there are like super tech, real tech companies who are adopting AI for last 10 years and have given phenomenal results. All the benefits which you see from the FANG companies, as they used to call it, comes from the AI. Even add Facebook to that, right? Uh, laggards and the enterprises who are so bogged down by their own internal policies and stuff, they are showing some improvements in their productivity metrics and stuff. I haven't seen a single study which claims that because a complete transform through AI, they increased their revenue double or whatnot. That's the second part of the answer. And the third part is futuristic companies who have adopted AI and they are like AI first, AI only company basically. And they are actually started to come up with 100 million mark and more than that, which is happening in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand. Mm. I someone the other day told me that they think in its current form, the like Gen AI is more useful for generating like uh, revenue wins and or productivity wins than just simply cutting costs and cutting headcount. Do you agree or disagree with that?
The trend which I am seeing, in fact, on the headcount topic, I do have a running bet with my friends that in 2030, the number of AI engineer plus we or the software engineers today will increase, will be higher than the count of software engineers which we have today. What it means is, I don't see industry suddenly becoming um, so productive that a product owner he thinks, hey, I can build a product, and he goes vibe codes and launches it tomorrow. That's all overselling. No product owner would actually survive or like a life where they are actually writing code, whether it's vibe coded or not, and deploying it in production, right? This is a very short term myopic view where you start cutting headcounts, thinking that, hey, because AI can write code, I need to fire the developers, right? Uh, if you want to participate, ping me on my LinkedIn and we can always add to the bet. The number of software engineers today is lesser than number of AI engineers plus software engineers in 2030. Because what's happening is uh, there is definitely move and upskilling where people are adopting AI. So they will start calling themselves as AI engineers. There will be a lot of work which is still required, all the governance and stuff which we talked about. It's not about using cloud to build a POC anymore, right? The headcount question is very clear to me. I am ready to bet on that any day. Uh, it's just a short-term adjustment. The roles are changing. People who are failing to upskill will actually lose their job, but people who are ready to adopt AI and improve better developers and become far more productive developers will continue to have their job. In fact, you can see Anthropic today has an offer for Sui open on their website saying $500,000 paying to those kind of software engineers who are ready to adopt ML and AI. Why would Anthropic do that if they believe their models are good enough to fire developers, right? So that's the headcount topic. Sorry, I forgot your second part of the question while I got passionate about this.
No, that's good. It's very relevant. So part of it was the head count. I think part of it, the person was saying they think a lot of people think AI is just about reducing costs, but they actually think it's more about increasing output, essentially.
Yes, 100%. So I do agree to that as well. Like we get it wrong when we try to cut cost because it comes at human cost and ultimately who will for your services, right? If you talk about planet Earth, right, there are 6 billion of us. Where will we go if there is no job left for humans? That's a topic for Elon Musk. Probably he can figure out like what humanity looks like in 2050 with AI doing all the jobs and we get free basic universal income, right? At our level, when we look at the economy and like our surrounding companies and stuff, I do believe companies get it wrong when they start talking about cost optimization. They should be focusing more on revenue maximization and launching new product lines. How can you? That is where the power of AI should come in. Like if you're a clothes seller, why can't you sell shoes as well? And what kind of? And if you are like e-commerce website, can you be Amazon and start launching so many other different product lines, right? In fact, companies at China are doing it with WeChat kind of an application, one single app doing everything in the world, right? What's limiting? Right. And I do believe that's a great statement. And companies were getting to to use AI to save on cost will be, I suspect, will be left behind. They will be stuck in a vacuum where they will see constant productivity, because if you have 5 humans, they are 10 times productive. Basically, you have 50x output, right? While you could have 50 engineers and be still be there. So revenue optimization for me is much more important, and that is what we are actually focusing on Aviato as well. As of now, we are growing, so we are seeing the benefits of uh, increasing revenue rather than cutting headcounts and thinking about cost optimization.
Yeah, interesting. And would you say it's more revenue creation, or is it more kind of value creation?
Call it value. That sounds better. Outside the tech world, it's essentially when you create more value and more happiness for customer. That is what will drive a successful company. AI or not AI is a secondary aspect to it.
Yeah, got it. And so do you think in the future, when there are more software and AI engineers, hopefully,
Yeah.
will coding be important?
Yeah. The way I am seeing things, like AI has not changed anything fundamental when it comes to the metal and running code on it, right? We are still using the Python libraries. The AI generating is still your React or Flutter or TypeScript UI, right? What do you think? Like, will there be no need for Angular developers anymore? Because who will update TypeScript and keep them safe, secure, so that AI can use to generate it, right? All of the tooling questions still remain. Uh, I do see over a period of time, let's say 10, 15 years from now, when we will have a breakthrough, when LLMs will be able to generate direct machine code, which they can execute efficiently in the new kind of hardware. I do see every company is also investing into the ASICs, right? They are building their own custom hardware because everybody knows what's happening to the VRAMs and the GPU pricing, right? Whole of the world is dependent on NVIDIA today. But my bet is, for the LLMs to succeed, they are so embarrassingly parallel that everybody will invest in their own custom ASICs, like Google did in TPU world. Everybody will build their own. Every large player will build their own hardware. And at some point in time, we will have an optimization in the LLM, which will produce your own bytecode, which can run on the local ASICs, right? That is the point where the software developers should get scared. Till then, I think we are still safe. You just need to up a skill and be aware of the fact that AI is going to be making coding very, very easy for you, which essentially means now you are competing with 1,000 employees outside the world, right? Like it's no more. It's only about the domain of tech people. Anyone can create a POC. In fact, we are seeing this transition already, where most of our customers, instead of sending a requirement document, are sending us code sample saying that, look, our application which you're going to build should look like this. And we are like, okay, we understand where you are coming from, but this is not your production code. So that kind of discussions will keep happening, right? In nutshell, I don't see in next 4 or 5 years, or even to an extent of 10 years, where the software engineers actually should be worried about their job if they are adopting AI and becoming productive, which is a baseline shift in this new age. Yeah.
If you want to become a new age software engineer, AI/software engineer, you're starting from scratch, no degree, you've just come out of high school. What would you recommend what would be like the optimal curriculum for them?
Go read C. Like start with C. That has been my I started my career 22 years back, and I am still saying the same thing. I'm a Java developer. I am an Angular developer. I am a Flutter developer. I can code in multiple languages. But my bet is you should learn C. If you're fresh out of college, that is where all the money is in future. How do you write efficient code? How do you write code which can execute on any platform and be much more secure, understands how efficiency actually works, right? The problem with higher level languages, you don't learn a lot of things about the underlying frameworks and how do you actually optimize for it. It's very easy to use Python, right? But that one single line of println does actually 10 things, which C forces you to learn. right? You start with stdio.h and you start wondering what that hell is, and then you learn about how the printing function actually work and what a function dispatch is and stuff like that, right? Nobody talks about those concepts when you learn Python. Once you have learned C and understood the architecture of your CPUs and GPUs, where do they talk to each other and stuff, that is where you should look about whether you are basically a front-end engineer, and then you go into your own career path and trajectory from there. Or if you decide that you're basically like the system aspects of it, you become the Linux administrators and whatnot. And then the backend is in between, which fills the gap of how the user sees the context and then actually interacts with the hardware and the databases and whatnot. So multiple career choices. One key area which I think will be booming for computer science people who have interest in computer science is the whole security aspect, right? Far too many companies have avoided. So cybersecurity is going to be the next gold rush for software developers. Every company will have to deal with AI tooling around that, and it's already started to happen. I can ask Gemini and Mythos use tools like which to conduct any red teaming against any website, right? How do you protect against those attacks is going to be very, very important. And I would bet people should start taking that career as a very serious opportunity.
Excellent. Such a good answer. I am curious though, and this is probably naive of me. Why do you think it would be better for someone to specialize in the front end, back end systems, cyber, or try and just be like a full stack value creating engineer who just leverages AI, like knowing enough of everything to just be dangerous and add that value? Or do you think there's still a need for people to be really deep and technical in certain aspects?
Yeah, unfortunately, with the AI, the way I'm seeing, everybody will be full stack engineer, right? To an extent, you can prompt a model or an harness like Cloud or Antigravity and create a model, right? Uh, that would not be the differentiating factor. The answer which I gave was from the perspective that a person who is safe about his job and never gets fired uh, is the one who is specialized in one area which nobody else can do. And that is where the efficiency gains will come from. Uh, it's also counterproductive in this age to completely ignore other areas, for example, right? A good front end developer should not only talk about the user experience and see that as a value, because at the end of the day, if your front end looks very nice, but it calls a crappy web service and it's not secured, you'll be hacked and you'll be out of business pretty soon. Interestingly, that's one of the things which I do. Like the many of our engineers and PMs have used Vercel or Lovable kind of tools, and they pinged me, "Hey, I built this product," and I was like, "Okay, here are all your users," because it's so easy to hack them, right? Like they have zero security baseline. People forget to implement RLS, which is like row level security for their data, and that has become a part hobby for me, like make the websites of others like more secure, because we have so many tools. I can just do it in 10 minutes. It's not me trying to hack, right? I can just ask Cloud, hey, go hack this site, or Gemini, what are the security footprints in this website? It works.
Part-time pen tester, breaking people's stuff.
Kind of, yes. It's quite fascinating, like how people believe that they can create a product in 5 minutes and it will work for open security models and yeah, like over the internet for everyone. It doesn't. Like we should stop pretending by now. Yeah.
Sounds like a good business idea, actually. Just hack everyone's website with agents,
it's
give
it's
everyone a
coming.
report.
It's coming. It's coming. I'm sure there'll be smarter people than me who will be sitting in some garage in Silicon Valley and build a website where you can go and hack others' websites. Yes.
It's quite worrying. Please don't hack me.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
It'll probably be quite easy somehow. I mean, I've got so much online. But what have you changed your mind on when it comes to AI recently? Like something you were maybe quite strongly in agreement with, and then you went, actually, no, that's wrong.
Yes, this area is developing so fast. Like, what's a recent time frame in AI world, right? A week, a month, 6 months, over a year. Like I remember when we started in like talking about AI in 2022. I always used to see it as an assistant sitting on the side and doing my job, right? Like, yeah, it can write a fancy report, good. I never thought it could be as good as at coding as it is today, right? The pattern which I've seen emerging is like it's like a katana, right? A Japanese katana which you can give to a monkey, right? If you give it to a monkey, you don't assume that the monkey will become super monkey, right? Ninja turtles don't happen overnight, right? That's what is happening with AI. What we have figured out is you can make um, a super efficient developer much more efficient because he knows what are the tricks to ask to the AI modeling, right? So the mind which I have changed on AI is actually shifting. Today we run a lot of experiments at Aviato, and we have figured out that the today's generation of AI is good enough to write your scaffolding API layers. It doesn't take more than a minute to give it an open API spec and say that, hey, write a code and it will generate 10,000 lines of code for me and make an cloud run deployed API available within like minutes. It's fascinating how it has changed. So I've changed my mind. We used to strongly discourage those. Now I actively say that, hey, please go do ahead, right? Where I'm still stuck is a few of the things around guardrails. For example, we are building a demand forecasting model for one of our customers, and the AI has gone haywire, right? And it starts saying that, hey, use some vague statistical model to experiment with the final outputs, twisting and turning different metrics to just make it look good. And I don't still don't believe that there is enough in the outside world which we can use out of box without giving them more context, without training them on particularly the domain, how this area works, what are the constants and stuff, so that it becomes like as good as building CRUD APIs or like kind of Pythonic APIs or Flutter apps, which is very nice looking. Yeah. So, long answer to your simple question, but it is a continuous learning job for me. We keep doing these evaluations and keep running these hackathons just to understand the capabilities. What used to be no yesterday becomes yes today. That's the speed of AI development I'm looking at. Yeah.
Do you think fundamentally the architecture of like I guess the current LLMs are designed, how do I put this? Do you think they can actually get us to where we want to go? Or do you think we'll have to fundamentally change like how we build the LLMs?
Um, Great question, and that's where I go into my theory side of the world, right? Like there are some theorems, and Jan LeCun has been particularly very critical. Those who don't know Jan, he is the godfather of deep learning, uh, chief scientist at Facebook before he left and started his own company and stuff. He has been very critical of whole single LLM based models, and he has published papers claiming about um, the limits of simple stochastic gradient based models and how do you do transformers, and they are essentially just training on numbers and finding gradients and optimizing for them, right? I do believe theoretically there is a limit on that approach, but that's only the LLM part of the story, right? Then comes the whole AI part of picture, which is where we introduce the agents, and the agents become smart enough to start evaluating the model's output and then give it to other LLMs to check which are more capable, less capable, tuned, fine tuned, whatnot, right? And now you suddenly have an idea of having council of LLMs, which an agent harness is actually able to leverage and find out your ideal output. Okay, that's definitely is happening. It will continue improving, and cool part is at Google, what I realized is the things which we see in published papers or work from Google are actually only after 2 years of it becoming in production and proving results, right? So there are so many different kind of patterns which are emerging in Gemini, like 3.6. I can clearly see the characteristics and personality is quite different from 3.5, right? So LLM per se, they are improving themselves, but I don't believe that LLM alone can become AGI or can help solve all these production problems, understanding human context suddenly, right? Because again, the game has shifted from using LLMs to providing context to the LLM, right? The businesses will win with their own context. If you have your data in a format which could be used by the agents, excellent, you're going to win, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to understand that last bit. I think I get it. So you think the architecture has limitations,
Yes.
but when you apply it with like within, I guess, agents, so I guess it gives you kind of like a more of a feedback loop and also more context, they'll be able to figure it out together.
100%. Yeah. So the agents, they are much more than like a repetitive loop, right? The right agents are basically showing power because they can go and read data from Gmail, for example. Let's take a simple example. LLM alone, if I go to Gemini and ask, probably doesn't know about what I am talking about because the data is actually in my Gmail or Google Docs, right? But when I can link these two together, that's where the agents come into picture. They can read the data from my Gmail, they can read data from my Google Docs, they can read data from any kind of database. And how do I pull all of this relevant information and then I ask a question to LLM? That becomes very, very powerful concept,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Out of box, LLMs architecturally are limited by the amount of learning they can do. There are theoretical limits to that. But when we can bypass that problem very easily by providing them more and more contextual data, which is relevant for the problem which I'm trying to solve.
Mm. And then maybe they can also figure out an improved LLM architecture.
That is happening. I think there are labs which are actually working on using LLMs to improve LLMs. There are definitely gains to be made in that area itself. As you can see, all of this work which we particularly Chinese companies are doing, they are like hyper tuning and going deep. There's CUDA layer, which is itself in C++, and then they have gone one level deeper and using Triton layer, which is assembly language for GPUs, right? And DeepSeek models have proven that hyper optimizing at that front can leads to performance gains. And if you have like per token cost is 1 by 10th of what today we are seeing, probably it will open up more opportunities to do more loops and iteration, right? Keep the cost at same level, but now you're doing much more mini experiments and you can find out your answers in a higher quality way. That's definitely happening in the world.
Yeah. Wow. Is there anything that you're excited about at the moment and you want to talk about that I haven't asked you yet?
Yeah, like when is Tesla coming to Australia in self-driving mode, right? That's the thing. AI drive me to office and I'm like able to use 1 hour of my productive time. Who doesn't want that, right? Just don't forget that AI is also slowly creeping into every side of the world and then the future robotics, right? I think we are not having the strong conversations around robotics yet. This is exactly the phenomenon I described about the pattern we saw from 2018, all about data, to 2022, all about uh, Kubernetes and GKs, to 2025 and beyond as AI. I suspect in next 2 years, people will start talking about robotics, and robotics will be the next big thing. And I'm like super excited about the marriage of mechanics, the biomechanics of robots with AI, and then humanoids walking our street and cleaning up roads and doing our daily chores. Uh, I'll be very, very eagerly waiting for those days.
Yeah, I think it seems exciting and Elon's pretty excited, but it does worry me quite a lot. I mean, isn't that the precursor to Terminator?
Eventually, I believe that is basically the goal, but we will divert into philosophy now because remember Darwin? It said survival of the fittest, and I believe Robots are far more fitter than us. So probably down the line, yes, not my problem. I'll be dead by then, I believe.
Well, how long have we got?
Let's see.
Because maybe we should just have fun now.
Yes, that's the key thing. Like at the end of the day, we need to have fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty excited whether it will be Terminator or whether they will be like create an utopian world for us where humans just enjoy fishing and boating and dancing, music, whatnot, while robots does the work for us. That is something which needs to be seen. But at this moment, I'm like pretty excited moving my arm in a robotic arm, sorry, in a lab, and that seems pretty exciting work to me. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there could be another path where robots are one species, humans are another species, and then human robots combined are the other species that maybe can become the fittest.
Probably. I think that's a topic for another podcast.
I know you have a meeting in like 2 minutes. So Akhilesh, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. You gave us tons of golden nuggets there, and I could ask a lot more questions. And maybe in the future I'll get the chance to ask more. But for now, thank you very much. And to anyone still listening, thank you for coming along the journey.
Thanks, everyone. And thanks, Mac, for inviting me to the platform. Let's just stay connected. Have a great day. See you.
See ya. Thank you. Bye. See everyone.